Austin Dillon just ended the competition with a stunning triumph at Richmond Raceway, shattering the drama of last year's controversy. He came back stronger, quieter, calmer, and completely unbreakable. Imagine driving with a fractured rib, pushing harder than ever before, and crossing the finish line with confidence. Tonight, he showed it. Dillon was tormented by recollections of last year's finish as he prepared for the race. Remember when he spun Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin in the final turn to win, only to have NASCAR deprive him of his playoff spot? That wound hurt much more than losing. However, in August, he turned up not to fight, but to win, clean, sharp, and composed. "Man, that feels good," he added. "Going through the entire procedure last year was quite painful, but this one feels really lovely. Man, I love Richmond." He stated that he wasn't even feeling well, racing with a broken rib. But he delivered, and the sound of salvation rang throughout the stands. His victory didn't merely bolster him, it upended everything. He advanced to the playoffs for the first time since 2022, depriving Alex Bowman of a spot until the last race at Daytona. "God has timing," Dillon explained afterward. "His timing is the best timing." His grandfather, Richard Childress, was also present to celebrate, despite the fact that he could have given up on this journey. Dillon summarized the situation. "There's been a lot of ups and downs. He could have changed the driver in this 3-car. Today it feels extremely fantastic. This was more than just redemption. It was a family triumph, a reminder that devotion and belief can overcome hardship." Let me tell you, Dillon did not simply win, he dominated the competition. He led 107 laps and outpaced Bowman by a whopping 2.47 seconds. In racing terminology, that is a landslide. He applied pressure, overtook, pitted smartly, and glided away. No wreckage or controversy. It was a dramatic contrast to last year's upheaval, and it was as if he transformed last year's darkness into today's brightness. However, underlying the victory lay the story of last year's appeal struggle. Dillon cried through it. His team fought hard, but NASCAR held fast. The appeal was denied, the penalty was upheld, and Dillon's 2024 last lap triumph did not result in a playoff prize. "I'm too tired to be angry," he explained earlier this week. That short, humane line conveys so much. He's in the playoffs now, but there's still no ideal conclusion. Next week's race at Daytona will determine whether Alex Bowman or Tyler Reddick takes the final playoff place. Dillon stands tall, but the pressure is building again for others. Family tensions also exist behind the surface. Dillon joked about knockdown dragouts with his grandfather about the team's direction, and confessed his brother had stepped in to assist take some weight off. They argue to move things along, and they do so with love. He explained, he usually gets upset, then 2 weeks later says, "That's a great idea, man." I adore that. That push and pull, that unrelenting drive beneath the hugs is also part of this story. So the question remains, can Dillon's quiet strength and unwavering belief take him all the way? Will his broken rib and unwavering focus be the story that defined his playoff run? Or will the echoes of last year's wreck haunt him in the brutal heat of competition? What do you think? Is Austin Dillon finally free of the past? Or is Richmond simply the quiet before the storm? Austin Dillon's world continues to spin despite the fact that the thunder of triumph in Richmond has yet to die down. Because, while the checkered flag flew in his favor, things behind the scenes at Richard Childress Racing are anything but smooth. It's no longer a secret that Dillon and his grandfather, team owner Richard Childress, are at odds, hard. "We get into arguments to the point of frustration," Dillon said. "Think about it. Family versus family, on the grandest platform in motorsports. But these aren't small wars. These are serious, stubborn debates concerning the team's very future, arguments that disturb foundations rather than egos." Dillon does not hide from it. "It's very hard when he's your grandfather to have an argument with him because you don't want to argue about it," he told me. "There are certain directions we need to take to drive this boat ahead, correct? I am constantly pushing him. That effort is what makes this victory so significant. Not only does it bring Dillon into the playoffs, but it also proves that he might be right. That RCR has to be changed, needs to evolve. And now, with his brother Ty joining in, the next generation is attempting to seize the driving wheel from the past. Gently, yes, but firmly. With each lap and every disagreement, they're propelling this historic squad to new heights. However, Dillon is aware that the sorrow of 2024 continues to linger. He admits that last year's Richmond heartbreak not only hurt him, but also Richard Childress. One thing that I think really hurt him last year, it stung to him because he felt like NASCAR kind of let him down, Dillon told the crowd. Childress does not forget. He does not forgive readily. And watching his grandson reprimanded, as well as their team being eliminated from the playoffs, affected him deeply. Dillon cried during the appeals process. That is how deep it went. But now he hopes that this victory would provide his granddad serenity. Hopefully this will allow him to sleep at night again, Dillon added. Because this team is more than simply a business. It is blood. It is history. Generations are attempting to heal with horsepower. The remainder of the field is paying close attention now. Dillon ranked 28th in points. Dead in the water. No one perceived the number 3 car as a threat. What about now? He is an issue. A playoff wildcard with nothing to lose and a Daytona-sized chip on his shoulder. Bowman's camp is on edge. Blaney, Logano, and Cindric, all of whom finished in the top 5 at Richmond, seen firsthand what Dillon is capable of when the chips are down. And make no mistake, Richmond was not a fluke. Dillon's strategy was merciless. He timed his pit stops properly. He chased Blaney down like a guy on a mission. Blaney tried to fight back, but it was too late. The undercut worked. Dillon was gone. However, the questioning will not cease. Not from fans, not from the media, not from inside the RCR. Can Dillon keep his momentum going? Was Richmond just one great night, or is it the start of something bigger? Because the playoff field is cruel. He'll need more than his heart. He'll require perfection. The last time he had an appearance in the playoffs was in 2020, when he only advanced to the round of 12. What happened since then? Quiet until now. Let us not ignore the elephant in the room, the lawsuit. As of mid-August 2025, the legal struggle over last year's penalties is still ongoing. Following their unsuccessful appeal in 2024, the Dillon camp and Richard Childress initiated a legal suit against NASCAR. While most analysts expect it to be removed before the playoffs begin, the fact that it exists demonstrates the bitterness that remains beneath the surface. It's not just about points, it is about pride. This is about legacy, regarding fighting back when the system says no. So, here we are, Austin Dillon, wounded but recovering, racing despite a broken rib, arguing with his granddad about the future, crying through the appeals, winning races. In August, the NASCAR world was jolted awake by a thunderclap. The fans are watching, the teams are watching. And are you convinced? Is Dillon the underdog hero the playoffs require? Or is he just another name taking a moment before the craziness of Daytona consumes